Tonight on NAIT NewsWatch.
More and more youths are leaving Alberta. We look at why this is happening.
People aren't choosing to build their careers here, and that's concerning.
Ukrainian refugees received a warm welcome at the airport on Monday.
A comic book store gets set on fire, causing thousands of dollars in damages.
Was there supposed to be somebody in the store? He said no. They said, well, somebody is. He went and checked the video footage.
Good evening. More young adults are packing their bags and heading out to find opportunity outside of the province.
A recent report by the Canada West Foundation is highlighting the growing number of youth choosing to leave Alberta. Our Danielle Bernard joins us live from our news center with more on that story.
Thanks, guys. So, yeah, the research for that report focused on seeing that information that so many youths are leaving and trying to figure out why that's happening. And they did find a various amount of reasons why that's happening.
Colton is one of many Alberta youths that is weighing the choice between staying in the province or finding opportunity elsewhere. He says that while his decision mostly depends on where he finds a job, he's starting to have concerns about whether or not Alberta's values line up with his.
That's something I've kind of started to notice over the last couple of years, and that's something I'm not overly okay with, because we're Canada. We should be accepting everybody, not just have a mentality from, oh, we're here, you don't like it, take off.
Colton is far from the only youth considering leaving Alberta. A study done by the Canada West Foundation highlights that since 2016, more youth aged 15 to 29 moved out of the province than moved in.
People aren't choosing to build their careers here, and that's concerning.
Stephanie says that one of the biggest concerns is the impact that this will have on the future workforce. She says that there are many opportunities in Alberta, but that those opportunities aren't being communicated in a way that reaches today's youth, and that leads to them feeling like there isn't really a place for them here in Alberta.
I had sort of this idea of what I wanted my life to be, and I knew that it wasn't gonna fit in Alberta, in Edmonton.
Not everybody can just walk into a job and get hired on the spot. You need all this ludicrous experience that, let's be real here, unless you've been doing a job for 20 years, no one's gonna have.
The foundation also reminds policymakers that younger generations rely a lot heavier on social media for their information and their news than traditional news sources. So they need to bring those conversations where youth are having them if they want to communicate with them.
So Danielle, why are so many young adults making the choice to leave Alberta?
So there's a few reasons. They also found that there's 3 main life points where young adults make those decisions. So the first is after graduating high school, if they're looking for a place to study, they might leave the province, or after post-secondary when they're looking for their future career, and then 5 to 10 years after they've started their career if they want to continue with that, or if they're choosing to settle down somewhere and raise a family. And when they're making those decisions, oftentimes they look mostly at what they think the job opportunities are like, whatever industry they're in, the quality of life they might have, and whether the province's values seem to line up with theirs.
Does the report offer any solutions to help Alberta keep its youth?
They do. So again, one of the biggest things is making sure that conversations are happening where youth are having them, even as in high school, making sure that students are aware of all the opportunities that are available to them, because younger generations don't really like the idea of oil and gas anymore. They're much more focused on the concern of global warming. So that's not an industry that's as popular right now. But there are other opportunities, and they need to be made known to these students if they want to see anybody going into them. They also need to make sure that youth feel like their values are reflected where they're working. Diversity and inclusion are huge and basically non-negotiables for young adults today. The full report is available for free as a downloadable PDF on Canada West Foundation's website, cwf.ca, so you can go check it out there if you want more information.
Thanks, Danielle. That's Danielle Bernard reporting live from our news center tonight.
You're watching NAIT NewsWatch, the next generation of news.
On Monday, dozens of Ukrainians who fled the war in Europe arrived in Edmonton. They were welcomed in with open arms after a long and stressful journey. Many Edmontonians showed up to the airport in support and offered a warm welcome to those fleeing Ukraine. Polish Airlines' LOT Dreamliner flight was arranged by former MLA Thomas Lukazik and former Premier Ed Stelmach. Around 30 Canadian families with ties to Ukraine will be taking in and hosting more than 60 individuals. One family was surprised and overwhelmed with the welcome her and her family received.
She really astonished with the welcoming, because Canada has always been like that. And she just came from very hard flight, and before that, there was this struggle for a bit, It was accommodation in Poland, but Poland did also great, to accommodate all the people, and so everything was organized as well. Very good.
The family hoped to get settled with the children attending school after spring break. The plane was filled with supplies Tuesday morning and left to bring aid to Ukraine Tuesday afternoon.
Comic book enthusiasts are mourning the loss of a comic book store known as Wonder Harbor Comics that had caught on fire not once, but twice in the last week. The first time the store caught fire was due to unknown reasons. The second time was claimed to be arson. Many people had lost their jobs due to this, and others were transferred to other comic stores around Edmonton.
At about 2, the security company had called him and said, was there supposed to be somebody in the store? He said no. They said, well, somebody is. He went and checked the video footage, and as I understand it, he basically saw his place of business being set on fire live.
There is no word saying that Wonder Harbor is being rebuilt anytime soon, though comic book stores will have a free comic book event on May 1st.
The City of Edmonton has recently voted on a new budget for Edmonton Transit that includes additional funding for safety and cleanliness in the facilities.
However, it's been causing some mixed reactions with riders as they've closed the public washrooms in 15 out of 18 transit centers while the plan is being put into place. Our Corey Taylor has more on this story.
This restroom is currently out of service.
The city's closure of the bulk of the public washrooms and transit stations has led to some mixed reactions. Some riders are upset that they don't have anywhere to go to the bathroom, while others are glad that people aren't doing drugs and overdosing in them anymore.
Good thing they shut them down, because there's a lot of times where I come here, during the mornings going to work, and there's people passed out in the bathrooms, shooting up, smoking rock, all that shit. And it just takes up time. Everybody's at day, and causes problems.
The amount of overdoses in Edmonton has been on a steady rise since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. 10% of the calls that transit peace officers received last year were about bathroom welfare checks.
Well, I've heard from transit staff that their experience is many people who would go to a safe consumption site, but the UCP closed them when they came to government, are now using substances in the train stations because they feel that they're monitored or safer if they have an overdose.
There has been an 800% increase in the number of health-related calls over the past 5 years on transit property. This new health and safety plan will cost the city $4 million.
We were voting on a service package about transit security and hiring these teams, and the washroom closure was one line in a huge report. Oh, by the way, we'll also close the washrooms for the time being. I don't think any of us really realize the that this would be so comprehensive.
The city does plan to increase the number of public bathrooms available in the near future, and starting on May 1st, they will have 10 mobile bathroom units throughout the city of Edmonton. We'll find out soon if that's enough. For NAIT NewsWatch, I'm Corey Taylor.
Now that all of the snow and ice has melted, it's revealing potholes and loose rocks on the road.
Snow and ice control is a major part of a thriving winter city, and feedback from our residents is very important to us.
As the city keeps removing snow off the streets, they've started filling up potholes and sweeping rocks off both roads and sidewalks.
Our snow and ice program is still currently fully staffed and fully functional through this part of the spring.
Cleared a total of 8,869 locations out of 8,879 and have filled 30,418 potholes total this year and 7,925 in the last week. They plan on maintaining this progress until they get no more reports. Coming up after the break, we take a dive into Edmonton's bid to host the 2026 World Cup.
Will one of the biggest sporting events be held here on home soil? Stay tuned to find out more.
Hey everybody, I'm Michael Yurchak. Is the weather going to be nice enough to go for a drive with the windows down to feel that fresh spring air? I'll let you know on this week's weather segment.
My name is Marcus Taylor, and coming up in sports, success for both the Ooks hockey and basketball teams. As well, we take a look at how the University of Alberta is prepping for the U Sports Championship basketball tournament happening this weekend. And lastly, we'll look at how soccer is on the rise in Canada.
You know, Adam, someday it'll just be like a nice, warm, sunny day, and then all of a sudden, a ton of snow just hits. I don't know what to expect anymore.
Yeah, neither do I, Jaden. But hopefully our Michael Yurchuk has some information and insight onto this week's weather forecast. Michael?
Yeah, thanks guys. I don't blame you. After that sudden snow we had on Monday, it has question marks above a lot of Albertans' heads. But I'm pleased to say, we're done with snow for a while, and temperatures will be hitting averages across the province. There's going to be some precipitation in the north and in the mountains, but it doesn't look like it'll carry all weekend. Let's get into the numbers though. Calgary, morning low of -1, afternoon high of 9. Mostly cloudy throughout the day. Sunday's probably going to be about the same. It's just a little bit more sun in the afternoon, so you'll get a high of 12. And moving over to Jasper, if you're a spring skier, this is a great weekend for you because Saturday you're going to get a 70% chance of rain and snow, meaning that rain's going to be hitting the town, but that snow is going to be falling on Marmot. So if there's any weekend to go, it's this weekend. You got a low of -3, afternoon high of +6, and Sunday you're experiencing relatively the same conditions, just without the rain. And moving up north to Fort Mac, they've had a pretty grueling winter, but they're finally coming out of it now. Morning low of -6, afternoon high of +5. Pretty high chance of a rain-snow mix throughout the day, but that won't carry over to Sunday. Coming home to Edmonton, our temperatures are hitting right around the averages right now. Got a morning low of -2, afternoon high of +7. A little chance of a late day shower, but nothing to be too concerned about. And Sunday, it'll be the exact same temperature, so plan your weekend based on that, I guess. And moving over to our averages, like I said, been relatively where the temperature's at right now. And for our record high and lows, back in 1992, we hit a temperature of 22 degrees. And the first thing that comes to my mind is potholes and puddles. And polar opposite in 1954, we hit -26. You would have caught me inside, wrapped in blankets, huddled by the fireplace. But yeah, that wraps it up for this week's weather segment. I'm Michael Yurchak, and I'm handing it over back to you guys.
Weather is brought to you by NR92, the station for the students.
Soccer is becoming a major topic in the city recently with the success of the men's national team.
The provincial government has finally gotten on board for the potential to host the World Cup here in the province. These are some of the scenes we may be able to see in Edmonton now that the provincial government has approved its $110 million financial plan for the Men's World Cup in 2026. The province has made some stipulations for the money, which included confirmation of funding from the federal and municipal governments, the City of Edmonton getting 5 games with 2 in the knockout stages, the allocation of a third of the seating going to Edmontonians. Mayor Sohi stated on Wednesday that a portion of the funds would go towards upgrading the venue, Commonwealth Stadium.
So there will be at least 3 training sites in, somewhere in the city or in the region, and then there will be a festival site downtown. We've identified downtown, Churchill Square, the Ice District.
I am really impressed to see how all levels of government have worked together. Communications with a lot of people, Explore Edmonton, City of Edmonton, province, federal.
Both Karen and Tim are city councillors who are advocating for the event. FIFA has not given a timeline when they will announce the host cities, but the city hopes the answer will come sooner rather than later. Now on to sports. The University of Alberta is preparing for a busy weekend. They're hosting one of the highest level basketball tournaments in Canada.
Also, how the Canadian men's soccer team is raising attendance for local games. Marcus Taylor joins us in studio for sports. Marcus?
Thanks, guys. We'll get to that in a second. Firstly, if you're a NAIT sports fan, you're probably celebrating this week, as this past weekend was a very successful one for the NAIT Ooks. NAIT Ooks men's hockey team beat the Concordia Thunder 5-4 on Friday. The team rallied back from being down a goal in the third and won the series 3-0 to become ACAC champions. Then we move west to where the Ooks women's basketball team made history, beating the hosting Mariners to win national gold, which is the first time ever in the program's 45-year history.
To have us win gold. So there's never been a female team here that has won gold ever in any sport. So we made history just by making the final, and then we created history by being the first team to win gold.
The victory is a storybook ending for the team's 6 seniors and head coach Todd Warnick, who won't be returning to Ooks basketball next year. There's even more basketball in the air this weekend in Edmonton, as for the first time, the University of Alberta is hosting the Men's U Sports National Championship Tournament. Preparation begun early in the week for the U of A Bears, as their gym will be home to the biggest university basketball tournament in Canada this weekend. The top 8 teams will compete here in the Saville Community Sports Centre for the title of national champions. There's extra excitement surrounding the tournament, as it's the first ever time being held in Edmonton.
I think the city's in for a treat this weekend. I mean, it's the best basketball in Canada. It's the first time in history it's here in Edmonton and here in Saville. This gym's going to be jumping. Our guys are excited, and I mean, with everything that's been going on with COVID, the fact that we're out here playing basketball is awesome, and national championships doesn't get better than this.
Their opening game against McGill University started at 1 p.m. this afternoon, and tickets can be found on the U Sports website for the rest of the weekend. As the Canadian men's soccer team continues to reach new heights, the Canadian soccer community is seeing its own rise. More and more fans are coming to attend soccer events in Canada, like the Mini World Cup. Held here in Edmonton, the Mini World Cup is a recreation of the real World Cup, where players are put on teams based on heritage. The attendance for this tournament is already back to pre-pandemic numbers, and the Canadian men's soccer team's success in the World Cup may be reason for increased attendance to local games.
It's big that we're in the World Cup now, so, you know, if we win, that's going to be a big thing for Canada. Oh, yeah. So we hope that we win. We pray that we bring it home, you know?
36 years, not being in the World Cup, I think it's just one big thing. Our pride for Canada all coming in for the soccer, I think it's great.
You can still catch the rest of the Mini World Cup, which runs until April 7th. So Adam, I know you're a big soccer guy. We just found out the draw for the men's World Cup team. You know, Croatia, Belgium, Morocco. What do you think?
I think they're just going to have fun at the World Cup. It's their first time there in 36 years, and a lot of young players, they're just going to want to go out there and just give their best.
It's definitely a chance for them to prove themselves. Jaden, I know you were in the building for that championship hockey final that happened last weekend. What was the building like during that game?
Oh yeah, very energetic, though I had to keep myself kind of composed because I was just working the camera behind.
Yeah, for sure. And before I leave, just a quick shout out to the Ooks women's basketball team. Amazing feat, amazing group of players, and we're all very happy for them. Thanks guys for having me. See you later.
Coming up after the break, our Try This segment might get a little jarring, but it'll sure speak your interest.
We send our reporter Jack down to give pottery a spin.
I struggled the first 6 weeks, but I loved it in the beginning. And that's just me. I'm Marco Brown. On the Alberta team, we shift things to drive here at the Royal Alberta Museum. And a perfect place to take some selfies. Stay tuned.
You're watching NAIT NewsWatch, the next generation of news.
Most of our Try This segments have been very physical, but our very own Jack Fong is about to get down and dirty himself.
Well, that's right, Adam. He'll be trying out clay pottery. Let's see his spin on the art form.
Clay pottery, something that's easy to jump in and learn, but requires a certain finesse to master. Thankfully, KJ showed me how she does it first before I tried my hand at it.
I'll expedite it so it's not so long, and then we'll put you on the wheel and we'll go step by step through the process. And then we give you another ball of clay and let you wing it and see what you remember.
First, I created a seal by slamming down the clay, and then I had to slap it, creating a cone shape.
Okay, and then slide it slide it towards the center. Hit it as hard as you'd hit a baby. Yes. Wow, you really hit a baby. But that's it, it's doing it. That's exactly what we need.
Then after adding some water, I shaped the clay, making sure to keep my thumbs together to evenly distribute the force. At least, I tried to.
Jack, it's getting worse.
After getting it centered, I opened up the middle with my fingers, making sure to stack them to give more support and control.
Just slow and steady. Don't let the clay pull you. You're the boss.
The next step was widening the hole I made, which was easy enough. Now was the hard part, which was lifting up the walls evenly without them collapsing.
When you get to the top, slack off gently until you're barely touching it. Or take that whole part off. That's the...
KJ helped me visualize what I had to do, so I started again from a smaller piece and was able to get it right this time. Then she shaved off the excess and trimmed off the bottom. Now it has to dry, and then be dipped and thrown into the kiln. But I'll leave that part to her, in case I break something else.
So as you can see, pottery is really messy. I made a little cup on my first try, but if you want to make something more impressive, Viva Clay Works holds in-person pottery classes that you could sign up for online. Jack Vong, NAIT NewsWatch.
I feel like you gotta have soft, delicate hands to do pottery.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't have the hands for that, but I ain't afraid to get down and dirty and make some pots myself, though.
For sure. It's been a couple of weeks since the lifting of masks in most places. That means a lot of events, productions, and festivals are back.
Although it might seem overwhelming that so many places to visit, our own Marco Belmas covers what you can do this weekend.
Thanks, guys. McEwen's theatrical performance, Drowsy Chaperone, is raising eyebrows this week as they help raise money for Ukraine. And this music concert certainly isn't your typical one. Our Andrea Sokolowski takes us on a sneak peek to their upcoming performance.
The Faculty of Fine Arts and Communications is helping other organizations around the world help raise money for Ukraine.
What is all this commotion about?
The wedding, madam.
Oh, is there going to be a wedding?
Based as a parody of the American musical comedy of the 1920s, The Drowsy Chaperone is a loving send-up of the Jazz Age musical, featuring one show-stopping song, number after number.
We have our Ukrainian research office in McEwen, and they had come to us wondering if we wanted to do some sort of fundraiser, and which we thought was a fantastic idea, but we're close to the end of the term, and we thought it would just be easier if we just donated to the ticket sales. So we hope this will encourage even more people to come out and return to live theater, and return to live music concerts, and support Ukrainian people.
All ticket sales from the April 1st performance will go towards the Canada-Ukraine Foundation for humanitarian need, as well as all of the remaining ticket sales from all other performances until the middle of April.
You get a good show and you're helping a good cause.
Over the next week, there will be many opportunities to watch the upbeat performance. To purchase tickets, simply go online to www.tickets.mcewen.ca. Andrea Sokolowski, NAIT NewsWatch.
Vehicles are essential, especially if you live here in Alberta, but sometimes we forget to acknowledge its colorful and storied past. One museum drives us back through the past. The Royal Alberta Museum is featuring Drive, Reimagining the Ride. It showcases 12 different cars from the 1890s to the late 1990s. Reynolds Alberta Museum and Remington Carriage Museum loaned their vehicles for this gallery. It aims to educate people and spark their imagination regarding our basic need to get around. Explore what makes these cars go and what makes them unique. For activities, the Tinker Garage is where people of all ages can express their creativity. Gallery will be open until April 20th, and you can get tickets at royalalbertamuseum.com. A new place located in Old Strathcona is becoming Edmonton's most unique photographic haven, and it didn't become successful overnight in a flash. Sid's Selfie World is a locally owned 2,000 square foot facility dedicated to taking pictures and selfies. The owner's daughters pitched them the business idea, and they named it after her. The unique location adds to the already rich culture of Old Strathcona, but the owners are constantly working hard and finding ways to stay ahead.
So like every day it's like, am I posting enough? Like, what else can we do to recruit more people? Like that's the make or break here, getting the word out. Like.
The space has 22 different photo sets with professional lighting. They encourage school field trips. In the future, they will plan to update their photo booths. Drop-ins are allowed, but you can also book tickets at their website, sidselfieworld.com/book. So guys, I'm just happy that because it's spring, we're allowed to go out more, a lot of stuff is open, and bonus, we don't have to wear masks as much. So.
Yeah, no, looking at some of those stories, there's a lot of places that we can go, and now that the restrictions are basically up for the time being, a lot of stuff is opening up. It looks great.
Yeah, no, looking at that car show too, I'm a big fan of cars, and I might just even go to that someday.
Oh, well, that's nice. Just wanted to say one last thing. At Sid's Sydney World selfie place, they give a 20% discount for post-secondary students. So I'm gonna head back there and take a couple more selfies. Thanks, guys.
Sounds good. Well, that wraps up our show for this week. Stay tuned for our NewsWatch Extra shows starting next week.
From all of us at the NAIT NewsWatch team, thanks for watching.